Debate check.
They're off for the William Hill County Hurdle with Ethical Diamond dropped right out at the back of the field, with Irish Panther and Our Champ in the black and pink leads them towards the first, with Spirit de Nous in a dark green jacket handy. So too Cracking Rhapsody in the grey and red, and Norman Fletcher with a white face, the white and red silks rounding out the leading quartet. Ndaawi in the dark blue and maroon chases the leaders on the long run towards the second, with McClory in the JP silks, the hoops with the white cap out wide, and Hansard racing enthusiastically in behind horses blue and yellow on the sleeves. Fee Duderie in the emerald green and white is back in midfield alongside last year's winner Absurde, the white jacket with the pink cap for Danny Mullins. Kargese is shadowing Absurde at this stage. Kargese in the light blue. Daddy Longlegs down on the inner, slightly worse than midfield, the yellow and black upsides the grey, Pinot Gris. And then back to Lark in the morning, the red cap ahead of Valgrand in the shades of blue, crossing flight 2. And the last two over it were Irish Panther and Ethical Diamond, as Our Champ and Spirit de Nous take them on rising ground with a circuit to cover. The leading duo move on by a couple of lengths to Cracking Rhapsody, the red cap just shading third over Ndaawi. Norman Fletcher is locked away against the running rail, but is a very close fifth, being followed by McClory. Hansard is on his immediate inner. And then back to Kargese from Fee Duderie, and Absurde in a white jacket with a pink cap from Daddy Longlegs, the grey Pinot Gris. Lark in the morning, the red cap is further back with Valgrand. And then towards the rear of the field, Irish Panther is still being held up, and Ethical Diamond is last of all, and they clear out over the third, which they've all negotiated neatly enough. Up ahead, Spirit de Nous, the dark green, and Our Champ, the black and pink, continue to push the pace along, each jumping fluently there. They race on by a couple of lengths to Ndaawi, who's racing wide of Cracking Rhapsody, who remains fairly handy. Couple of lengths away then to Hansard, the blue and yellow on the sleeves, who took that fluently enough in about fifth position. Just ahead of McClory, Kargese in the light blue is weighted with back in mid-division. Norman Fletcher has rather lost his place. He's back on the running rail at some 6 or 7 lengths off the leaders, followed by Fee Duderie and then Absurde to Daddy Longlegs. Lark in the morning, the red cap out wide, still 3/4 of the way down the field, ahead of the grey Pinot Gris, as they race across the top of the track and reach 3 out. Valgrand is still towards the back end of the field with Irish Panther and Ethical Diamond, and Norman Fletcher loses further ground. So about to turn on down the hill, entering the last 3/4 of a mile in the William Hill County Hurdle, and on the descent, Our Champ and Spirit de Nous still push the pace along. They've been the leading pair from the outset, closely attended by Ndaawi, who's wide of Cracking Rhapsody, and then Hansard to McClory in the hoops, and Kargese now is beginning to inch a little closer as they make the descent. She's beginning to come through the field now, Kargese. Paul Townend in the pearl blue silks. Then back to Fee Duderie, who's on the right running downhill in the emerald green and white, followed by Pinot Gris. Absurde in a pink cap weighted with back in midfield. Irish Panther has been pulled widest of all, 2 out. Still just Our Champ over Spirit de Nous. Kargese though has come there very powerfully on the outside of Ndaawi. They're third and fourth respectively. Cracking Rhapsody red cap ridden along as they reach the corner ahead of Hansard. Then Absurde, the pink cap on the move, but now Kargese on the left moves through to take over. The long run down to the final flight in the William Hill County Hurdle. Kargese chased by Ndaawi. Absurde coming out of the pack as he did 12 months ago. The white and pink running on strongly. Pinot Gris and Lark in the morning are running on from the rear. Kargese, Absurde is closing in. Ndaawi between them fighting on. Kargese safely over the last, a length clear, maybe not home yet. Ndaawi, Ethical Diamond down the centre of the white jacket running on. Kargese in front. Ndaawi continues to fight hard, but it's Kargese doing best, and Kargese wins the William Hill County Hurdle from Ndaawi. Absurde probably just third, tight fourth, Spirit de Nous, Ethical Diamond, Our Champ and Cracking Rhapsody.
It was a tough call for Paul Townend, or maybe it wasn't. She was second in the Triumph last year, and she's won the county this year. We're number 7 of the Festival 2025 for Willie Mullins. His stranglehold is tightening all the time ahead of Galopin Des Champs, and Galopin Des Champs' rider Paul Townend has got this spot on. He's just about managed to anchor Kargese well enough, though not completely, to enable her to see out this trip in the county hurdle and win. Your heart slightly bleeds for Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott second this time, close with Ndaawi, but Kargese was always holding the horse. Danny Mullins brought last year's winner Absurde with what looked a threatening challenge coming to the last. That challenge petered out. Kargese, though, had enough left.
She never settled and she still managed to win. She's silly. He did everything right. He didn't bury her amongst horses. He didn't get her bumped around in a competitive field. Himself, Larkin, the Morning, Valgrand, they were all towards the outside. And at no stage did she give herself a chance to breathe. Ndaawi was up there with the pace for much of the run. And she came with a double handful across the road. But then, add pressure to pressure, she starts hanging to her left. Paul Townend's right hand, you can see the strain on his right rein. It looked like she might be emptying out, but look, to do what she did, to burn the energy she did throughout this county hurdle, Martin, you have to say, she's poles apart in terms of her class. If she'd ever learned to race, she's got a huge engine.
Yeah, and the handicap mark was clearly just too low, wasn't it? She'd been very consistent in top-level company as a juvenile last season, won 2 Grade 1s, second in another 2. They'd gone 141, it was too low, and she's taken advantage of it.
Champion hurdle next year, anyone? She ain't going to be running in the mares, is she?
She doesn't stay beyond
Look at the chaos that happened this year. You never know, do you? But she's tough, solid. The tempo almost wasn't strong enough for her. They've gone a good bit steadier, I think, in this race than they did in the Triumph hurdle early. She was on the outside. She was still racing exuberantly, as she always will, but she'd almost be better, I think, swinging off at an even faster pace than what she got today.
And that's why I posed the question, even though she's only won this off a mark of 141. She's a very, very fast, very classy filly. She's won, of course, in the silks of Kenny Alexander, his second win in as many days, after the victory of Doddy the Great yesterday. It's Mullins again, an 8th winner in this race. Paul Townend has 5 county hurdles, and here's Lydia.
And Kargese wins the county hurdle back-to-back after Absurde last time for Willie Mullins, his 8th winner of the week. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It looked like she was slightly over-racing again. She does have a big engine, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's tough. I mean, you saw her here last year, and then she went on to, I think, Liverpool, and, you know, usually a 4-year-old's not able to do that sort of thing. And she's come out again this year, and she's tough as nails, so she's as tough a filly as I've ever seen. And we thought she was nicely handicapped. We thought maybe all last year's 4-year-olds were better handicapped than this year's juveniles. And we said we'd take a chance, and, you know, they've run well.
Paul was talking earlier in the season about how much she's grown over the summer, and she's become a lot stronger with a hard-pulling horse as well. That makes her quite the ride.
It is, you know, but she's, you know, mentally she's so tough as well, because she can do that and pick up. You'll bring her home and she'll eat and drink, and that's what stands to her. You know, she doesn't fall apart after her races. She keeps coming.
She's got a huge amount of talent. Are you going to be dipping into graded company with this man?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, we just, as we said, we took a view that that generation were nicely handicapped against the older ones, and we took a chance and we run her here.
Sooner rather than later?
I'm going to celebrate today, and then we'll decide
No,
what
fair
we're
enough.
going to do. You know, normally I go to Punchestown, but I'd have to have a look and see if there's something in either Ayr or maybe Aintree. Yeah.
Well, it keeps rolling. It seems to be heading in one direction. Many congratulations.
Thanks again.
Yeah, an 8th county hurdle for Willie Mullins. The 8th winner of the week. I'd miscounted.
That happens on the Friday, doesn't it?
It surely does.
It's the first for Paul Townend since day one, though.
Yes,
isn't
it is, yeah. And his 3rd winner of the week now. I mean, he's clearly a massive favourite to be
of course.
top jockey.
Of course,
up until this point,
you know,
he was sharing it with Rachel and Mark Walsh and John
He
Joe
wasn't
Neal.
on Jimmy Desoy, he wasn't on Bambino Fever, he wasn't on Lecky Watson. So there's a few that he's missed out on. He wasn't on Poneros.
She's not a simple mare, though. Like, no. I know people will say, oh, she's the best horse in the race. He went wide. You know, anybody could do that. Not everybody could do that. She's an ignorant, heavy-headed, really strong. Like at one stage when they went up past the stands up around the bend, he let his hands down to try and get her to drop it. And she went up around McLowry.
Yeah, she's just an aggressive racer, isn't she? Yeah. When she's out there, she's
and she doesn't sit in front either. She doesn't give you that option either. I
think
think
she's
in a
best
really strongly
ridden.
Grade 1, she'd be really suited.
She'd improve again, I'm sure. I think there's more in the tank, and she's won it with that little bit of injection of speed. Just coming down the hill, she's kind of just got that, because her and Ndaawi made an effort at a similar time, and they were kind of upsides. But she's just got that extra little bit of pace to quicken and grab 2 lengths on the field, and she had enough to keep going as well.
She's got class. She's got class.
It may only be the St James's Place Hunters Chase that stops Willie Mullins winning every race. Galabande Shaw, Kopek de Me, 1-2 in the Mayor's Chase.
Allegory de Vassy.
One-way traffic here at Cheltenham. 8 up for the Master of Cliff Sutton, 3 for Paul Townend, 2 for Kenny Alexander, and 1 for Kargese Cheltenham Festival victory to go with a second in the Triumph Hurdle last year. Absurde ran a fine race in third for a horse who's been off the track for a long time and come back from Melbourne.
Yeah,
there again.
He ran a blinder, didn't he? And I'd say that there's a chance this was a stronger race. I know it was numerically a little bit smaller, but it might just be a stronger race this year than it was as well.